Okay, now we're going to look at more closely as the different parts of a fraction. Okay, so if we look at this fraction again, 2/3, as I said before, this 3 is the denominator. Okay, the term denominator is derived from Latin, and a Latin word that was called nomen. Now the Latin word nomen equals name. So you can see that in a term like nomenclature, nominate. So what this does, what the denominator does, is it names the fraction. It gives us an idea of how many parts the whole is broken into. Remember, when we're dealing with fractions, you're usually talking about something that's less than a whole. Well, when we're talking about proper fractions. Improper fractions we'll talk about later, but proper fractions is something less than a whole. So it could be a whole pizza, it could be a whole movie, it could be a whole TV show, whole song, whole whatever. When you're telling us a denominator, you are breaking it up into equal parts. Now, if we have a circle, like this, and this is my whole, I'm going to break it up into equal parts. Now again, forgive me, these aren't going to be that equal because I'm going to be drawing, but we're going to assume these are equal. If I split this into 4 equal parts, I have broken this into fourths. Okay, so I have my whole, and I've broken it into fourths. Now, if I take away, if I have another circle, and I decide to split that into equal parts, I wish I had something that would do this well for me, because I don't want to do so we have fourths. Now, I've split this into different parts, but look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wouldn't necessarily call this sixth because they're really not equal. What I'm trying to do is do that. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this whole is split up into eighths. Now, if I want to give myself, to make this into a fraction, it needs to have a numerator. Okay, so now we're going to look at the other term that we had, which was numerator. Numerator comes from a Latin enumerate, which means to count. We actually still use the word enumerate in our language, in English. Okay, so enumerate means to count. So what this is telling us is how many of those equally sized pieces are we identifying, okay, or are we counting. So if I take a look at our first fraction that was split up into fourths, and I am counting this piece, and this piece, then my fraction is 3/4. So it's telling us that 3 pieces of a whole object that is split into 4 equally sized parts. So again, 3/4 is telling us that I have this whole, okay, it's split up into 4 equally sized parts, and I'm only counting 3 of them. Okay, just like if we have this whole over here that's split into 8 parts, and I'm just wanting to take a look at, okay, this fraction, okay, is 5/8. Again, this is saying that we have 5 pieces of a whole object that is divided into 8 equally sized parts. If you want to think of, any fraction that you have, if you have 48/77, that's telling us that we are looking at 48 pieces of a whole object that is divided into 77 equal parts.